Guys, this week is going to be a great week. We have episodes for you every day that we're filming today here at the Elliott Museum, interviewing different people in the industry. eBliss has picked this place to launch their Always bikes to the professional installer who will sell it to you, to the consumer. These are top-of-the-line EV bikes. You do not want to miss this week's show as eBliss launches their Always brand.
Welcome to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, where we talk all things good food, good business, and good cars. And now, here is your host, Arnold Gasita, founder and CEO of Petra Automotive Products. Let's roll.
Well, we are excited. We are at the Elliott Museum in Stewart Beach, Florida. And if you have never been to this museum, you have to come and at least look at the carousel where all these cars, it's like a vending machine. You pick the one you want and all these cars move and it brings you the car that you wanted to view. We're here because eBliss is launching their latest bike to the dealership world called Always. So they've been in the bike business, the EV bike business for a while. This is going to be a new bike that's going to go to the dealership world that you, the consumer, can buy. It's a professionally made bike. It's professional standards, something you would only get in a dealership or the automotive manufacturing world. And today with us, we have Tony Ellsworth, who is actually the designer of these beautiful bikes. You have one right here in front of us. But this guy is the crazy mind that designs these beautiful bikes. Not just these, but a lot of other bikes. So Tony, glad to have you on the show.
Thanks, Arnold.
Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for taking a minute to visit.
And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you look good in the shirt.
Well, thanks, appreciate it. I wanted to make sure I felt part of the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you get a shirt, you're kind of official.
All right, official.
So listen, before we talk about anything, let's have some fun stuff. As we sit here in this museum with all these cars behind us, what is your all-time favorite car? What is Tony's dream car that you want sitting in your garage?
Man, that's a tough question because I haven't had a chance to actually walk around here. Today was a pretty busy day. I flew in last night and just jumping to get everything.
Any car comes to mind besides museum kind of car that you would want to get? Doesn't have to be old. It could be new. It could be like a new Lamborghini or Ferrari.
Well, I'll tell you, to give you a little insight into, you said the crazy mind, and that's exactly what it is, right? So when I was 27, I had a Porsche 911 SC Targa that I just loved, and then flew out to Tyler, Texas, and bought that and drove it back to Santa Barbara, California. First car that ever showed me 160 miles an hour.
You bought it in Tyler, Texas?
Bought it in Tyler, Texas.
No kidding.
From a financial consulting client who just bought a brand new 928 S4, and he couldn't find anybody in Tyler to buy his Porsche, and
that's a fantastic story.
That's a great car. I'll come out if I like it. I'll drive it.
Did you Route 66 back, or you gotta take that up north, right?
No, I was 27, man. I had to be back to work on Monday.
Well, you had the right car, I guess.
In it to win it, man. I just rocketed back. But that was a great car. I drove that for several years until I had 2 children and bought a house. Wow. Traded it in on a Nissan Sentra with 4 doors.
Listen, at one point I had a Nissan Quest with the kids.
Yeah. I had a Quest.
I get it,
Yeah, I had a Quest.
Great little vans,
Can cap on the minivan.
Family. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Hey, what of all the places you've traveled, what is your favorite place to go? What is your favorite place of all the places you've been to that you like the most?
I like home, Arnold.
Everybody loves home.
I do like home.
Okay, what's the second best place?
Well, let's see. Last summer, I had the opportunity to visit Norway, and those fjords are amazing. Yeah. I'd like to go again and just charter a boat and spend a month or 2 up there and then just exploring the fjords. Magical land up there.
I love that. And I'm going to congratulate you. You're the first person that says Norway.
Yeah.
But I've been there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love Norway.
In the summer. Yeah, in the winter.
No, for sure. Mine was in the summer. Maybe fallish, I guess, a little rainy, but not winter.
Yeah. Well, I like the great outdoors, and I like to be away from it a little bit, and Norway kind of rung those bells for me.
That's good.
Most recently, I spent a week on a private island in the Philippines, in the Palawan area, and that's super memorable. That was a really, really cool. Was down there with some friends and just snorkeling and diving and eating off the ocean and just living on this island. It was probably the size of a football field.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was fantastic too. So
what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? I'm a sushi guy. I love sushi.
Okay.
Yeah, I spent a couple years in Japan and good sashimi. And
You're the best sashimi and the best sushi.
Yeah, I like sushi.
That's good. All right, man. So let's talk about the story of Tony.
Okay.
How did you get in this business? Now, we're going to talk about eBliss and the designs and all your awards and all that kind of stuff. But how did Tony get in this business?
Well, there was once a little boy, and he learned to ride a bike. He was probably, like nursery school. And he learned to ride a bike, and that bike just opened up the world to him. He could get places that he couldn't get walking. And I fell in love with bicycles at a very young age. And they always meant to me, efficiency and freedom. When I was a teenager, before I had a car, I lived in Eugene, Oregon. And Eugene has a very well-developed bicycle infrastructure. My whole life they have. Like, it just really, you can cross Eugene, Oregon on a bike faster than you can get across it in a car. So again, it just opened up a whole world to me. I went on to race as a junior and lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, and had some friends there, and we raced road bikes. And again, the efficiency, the performance. I'd stay up all night and put new parts on my bike and get it all tuned up and go race that weekend and really enjoy the machine and what the machine could do to amplify what the human capability was. And, that went on. That love never really went away. I was in college and needed a job, and I'd never worked in a bike store, but there was an opening at the campus bike store for a mechanic. And I went in and I said, I can do this job. And he goes, you've never had any bike store experience. And I need somebody that can get all those rental tandems running. I'm like, I'll get your rental tandems running. He goes, well, you haven't had any bike store experience. I'm like, you give me 2 weeks. If I don't have all your rental tandems running, you owe me nothing. I got all those rental tandems running, except the one that was cracked in the middle. I needed time to find a welder. But I've always loved bikes. When the mountain biking thing took off.
So really, in college and after college, you've been in bikes.
Oh yeah.
Was there ever a moment you weren't in bikes?
Yes. So I graduated from college in international relations, and I went to work for a financial consulting company. I was going to be an attorney, but then when I got in my senior year, I'm like, I don't want to be an attorney.
Thank God. We got enough.
I'm like, that's not what I want to do with my life. That's way too much.
And I love my attorney, just so you know.
Yeah, just so you know.
We have enough. We have enough attorneys.
You be nice to your attorney. Yeah. But so I took a job in Santa Barbara for a financial consulting firm, and I was working super hard, really long hours, and then we moved to San Diego, and I had a couple kids and bought a house, and I was away from bikes for that period of my life, and I just one summer actually, I think I kind of stressed out and was working really long and kind of had a bit of a breakdown, and part of the recovery from that breakdown was getting back out and doing things that I loved, and having balance in my young life as, a young father of two with a new mortgage. And I'd started my own financial consulting business specializing in retirement plans. So yeah, I really was not very balanced. And so I got back into cycling. And when I did that, within a few months of doing that, I had some really good friends who said, you're so picky about the bikes you ride, you should just make your own. And so I did. And it was really nice. And then they wanted one. So I made some for my friends, and then their friends wanted one.
So is that your launch into the bike arena? You making your own bike for yourself?
Yeah.
And a couple of friends saying, hey, that's cool, make me one.
Yeah, that's exactly how Ellsworth Bicycles started in 1991.
So you went out and sourced your own pieces.
Yep. There was an Easton Elite tube set. It was a really nice 7005 aluminum tube set that was made in Van Nuys, California. And I made one of the first mountain bikes that weighed less than 22 pounds. And today, that's still a good lightweight hardtail. So,
because refresh my memory, you have 20 design patents or so. Is that right?
I think the number is 14.
14?
Yeah. I haven't counted in a while.
Your boss wanted me to say 20.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know which one's Bill's counting,
But still,
I think it's 14
design patents.
design and utility patents. Yeah, and international. Yeah, and I'm kind of proud of that. I mean, there were a number of full suspension mountain bike patents that were patented in the United States, but they didn't earn international distinction.
So when you make this bike for you and your friends, and you open this now business that, with your talent, kind of came your way and you started doing it, what happens after that? I mean, how far did you take that?
Well, I built Ellsworth Bikes into a global bike brand. Always stayed extremely high end, right? So it wasn't a volume play, but I mean, you can go to Europe, Germany, Japan, Taiwan.
The quality.
The quality and
look.
Look, feel, quality. We talked a little bit earlier about, my mantra was always to design something that brought some new innovation, some new level of performance, some new and exciting thing to the table. I wasn't much of a Me Too designer. I tend to, lead from the front with design and innovation. And I always wanted to make sure that the products that I offered delivered on the promise of that bike. A little later in my career, I teamed up with some, excellent industrial designers and some amazing engineers and brought some really benchmark, next level full suspension mountain bikes, material management, all that stuff. And so they're beautiful, right? And they're expensive. So delivering on that promise became something that was really important to me in all the design aspects.
And you sold that company?
That's a whole nother story, but it's come back to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ellsworth Bikes lives, and we're now starting production on some of those beautiful full suspension.
Well, that's great. That's great. What are some of the brands you've worked on through your career?
Ellsworth Handcrafted Bicycles, of course. I had licensed products or licensed technologies to Santa Cruz, Haro, Merlin, Calfee, Greg Calfee. I'm sure that I'm not remembering them all right now. You ask me those questions.
No, it's great. I love, there's something about you, Tony, that I love is you are a rock star when it comes to designing bikes. But your humbleness.
You're so kind to say rock star.
No,
it's been called idiot savant before.
No. Well, here's my point of that. I love rock stars that are humble. And your humbleness of what you've accomplished and what you've done, I love.
Well, thank you.
And I think that anybody that meets you will also feed off of that, just that you're this cool geek guy designing bikes that are worldwide, 14 patents or so in design, and utility, and you're just, hey, I had a Nissan Quest, I mean, it's great, and automotive industry, bike industry, every industry needs a little bit more of this humbleness sometimes, no matter how great you've done. But and tell me something.
Yeah.
How'd you get hooked up with eBliss?
Well, so there's probably two parts to that story. Let's go chronologically, right? So Bill Clem looked me up in 2006 or so when he was the CEO and chairman of at the time it was NuVinci, and said, I want you to get excited about this new transmission I've got. I want you to make a bike that will showcase it. And I did that, and that was the original ride bike that was Popular Science's let's see if I get Grandmaster Recreational Equipment winner. And I think 2007 Popular Science.
The ride.
And the whole premise for the bike, the neat thing about Bill's transmission is it was internal, which means I could deploy a belt to drive it. I was one of the first people to deploy that belt. worked closely with Gates when they were first coming out with their carbon drive system. And that was one of the first bikes that really was built to, have that end user experience for a non-bike aficionado. So I used aluminum, hydroform techniques, the belt drive, the NVOLO transmission, in order to have this bike be maintenance-free, greaseless, shifting, like the CBV transmission did, relatively lightweight, the same expanding universe geometry that I'm using in the Ride and Always Radiant bikes that are here. So Bill and I became buddies through that project, and then stayed in touch. He was the best man at my wedding, and I was there at his wedding. And so Bill and I go back probably 16, 17, 18 years, something like that, maybe 20 years. So that's kind of how I got associated with Bill. And then there was a time when I had sold Ellsworth, and it went through some mergers and acquisitions before coming back to me in 2019 or 2020. And during that time, I was, pretty tied up with mountain bike stuff, but I said, my mind is super active, and this e-bike thing is really cool, and it's going to make a difference. I'm going to go ahead and make this beautiful bike that incorporates and integrates all this great new e-bike technology that's coming out. I'm going to use the best materials because I know how. So I'm going to make one out of carbon fiber. I'm going to use the best technology. I'm going to use the best brakes, everything. And I made the first ride bike in 2019. That was the Radiant Carbon that you see here. And I relaunched the Ride e-bike brand at that time. Shortly after that, some things fell into place, and Bill called me and said, we should team up and do this bike company. And I'm like, all right, let's call it eBliss. We just need, bring bliss to e-mobility, right? And, we started that, and we agreed Bill was going to be CEO and I was going to be CDO, and Bill built a business. So, that's how eBliss came about. We merged the Ride into eBliss. I developed the Always bike line specifically for to be at a little more price point and a little less, I think, disruptive in design than the Ride designs were. And so we have two brands under eBliss right now, and looking forward to launching possibly a third and offering some fleet bicycles. So eBliss will probably be supplying bicycles and fleets under other brands as well.
Sure.
So the goal really is to put more people in touch with the fun, health, fitness, and sustainability of cycling, and using excellent electronic engineering and integration to complement the best material management and the best designs, from geometry to, how the
you mentioned that, one of the goals is to get, people more in touch with these types of bike. I think and obviously I'm in the automotive world, so I'm going to be obviously slightly biased on this, but I think it's real, and you can talk to different economists. The world is not ready for EV vehicles. Our infrastructure is not there, and the adoption of it is not there, even worldwide, right? And so half of the EV vehicles are sold in the U.S. and California, and half worldwide are sold in China, right? So the rest of the U.S., the rest of the world, it's just not there yet. And when it comes to EV bikes, and I only say this for this, when it comes to EV bikes, people are it. People like it. People get it. People talk about it. There's no problem there. They want to have their car, but there's no problem having their EV bike.
I think sustainability and social consciousness, it doesn't need to be, a cut and change everything.
Yeah.
There's small changes people can make, mindful, incremental changes. It's like, hey, instead of driving my car to the gym and driving around the parking lot to get the parking space that's closest to the door, and then I go in and I work out and I come back out and I get in my car, I could take a bike. I could take an e-bike. It's simple, and it's going to be easy to park. It's just such an incremental change, and that will make it different.
You can't have change without acceptance.
Yeah.
Right? This is an acceptance. People can accept this easier, funner. The designs are cool. The bikes are great.
Yeah.
I mean, I've ridden them. Shad, I think what you say is true. I think bringing it to people. I know that everybody that has seen the bikes, at least when I've been present, love these bikes. They really think they're great bikes. The design is wonderful. It is great. Where do you think? What do you think is in your time back with Bill as you guys created eBliss? What would you say? I want to hear what the most challenging moment was, and then I want to hear what the greatest moment was. I always try to think about young viewers, right? So you know, I don't know. I've been in this business for 32 years. I don't want you to date yourself, but I've been in this for 32 years.
Right.
I didn't start like this.
Right.
It took 32 years to get to the point that you're at.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to fast forward these days. And I always not always, but most of the time I bring this up in a podcast because I want people to realize you didn't wake up one day and eBliss was a success, right?
Yeah.
eBliss is today and will be even more, but you had a challenging moment and you had a greatest moment so far, you know, and there'll be more challenging moments and there'll be greater, you know, great moments. But so what was the most challenging time you think for yourself in eBliss?
Yeah, I think one of the most, I mean, of course, you know, you can say COVID, but I want to be more specific than that, right? eBliss is, you know, we're spread out. It's been 1 year since Bill and Billy and I, the three partners, were in the same room together when we launched Tomberlin at the PGA show. That was the last time we were together. So we are running it remotely. And I think there is just, you know, communication and, you know, staying aligned, right? Especially where, you know, we're a startup, right? We're a relatively small company and we're moving really fast in a super fast moving industry, right? E-mobility is a super fast moving industry. So I think the challenge there is, you know, taking the time to stay aligned, right? And, you know, Bill's a hard charger. I'm a hard charger. Billy's a hard charger. There's a reason. And we make a great partnership because we each have skills that are, you know, unique. So staying aligned while we're moving really fast and a lot is happening is probably the most challenging thing. And of course, COVID and the more difficulty traveling and, you know, I mean, that's probably been the most challenging. The greatest thing is that I have two partners that are very complimentary of each other and very complimentary of my skill set. And the three of us together are able to make progress on something in a way that I was never able to do on my own, right? Being CEO, CDO, and COO. You know, now we have three excellent partners that really complement each other very well. That's probably the highlight of it. So we're moving really fast. We're experiencing success by using everybody's combined talents in an efficient.
So it's almost a combo of the frustration and the great, right?
Yeah, the same thing that's difficult. We're all set in our places in different parts of the world, right? Is the same thing that makes us great.
So, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let's talk a little bit about the bikes. As we got it here, why don't you show us what makes this bike different than any other bike out there?
Okay. You know, I think
who else but the designer can tell us this?
Yeah, that's true. You know, kind of going back to people making incremental changes, right? So when I named, you know, Always Bikes, when I named this brand, the thing that I was thinking of is I want this bike to be something people will always choose first. Like they'll go in the garage and go, awesome, I can take my bike. Oh, no, I've got a gigantic couch I got to bring back. I'm going to have to take the Suburban, right?
Yeah.
But I want them to think bike first. And in order to make that happen, I have to create an experience with the bike when they get on it to just make it simple and fun and rewarding. And so I think it's, you know, I can look and probably point out some things that are very unique to this bike. But I think really the thing that's the most amazing is the whole, you know, quan, if you remember the Jerry Maguire movie, right? The whole quan of the bike, and this is one of my favorite things, and you'll go, really? Is that really the favorite thing? But I use an expanding universe geometry on here where I basically take the angle of the seat and the location of the bottom bracket means that as I put the seat up, the cockpit gets longer. So my wife, for instance, is 5 feet tall. She can fit on this bike and loves it. And Nick, over there who 6'3". He can get on this bike and love it. So the first thing is just how easy it is to get on the bike. I worked really hard to have this step-through area really big and really open, so you can, just very easily step right over the bike. And then when you sit on the bike, and this seat's too high for me, so here, I'll show you though. I actually have a wrench, and
only the designer would carry a wrench in his pocket to adjust the seat at any given time.
That's right. So when this seat's properly adjusted for the rider, this might still be too tall for me. Then I should be able to actually sit on the seat with my feet on the ground. And this is a big deal. Most bikes with conventional geometry, if you're sitting on the seat, you cannot touch the ground. And so when you go to stop at a stoplight, you actually have to stand on the pedal, get off.
That is correct.
Put your feet down here, and the seat's up here in the middle of your back, right? And so getting on and off the bike for somebody that's not a cyclist, like this is not a big deal for me. I've been riding a bike all my life, right? But for somebody that's not a cyclist, getting on and off, getting the bike started is a different deal. So the geometry and the way these handlebars sit and the way everything works, I don't have to do the conventional bike start where you got to get on the pedal and then get yourself up on the seat and ride, right? For somebody that's not a cyclist, that's not easy, right? This bike, you can stay on the seat, put your feet on the pedal, and then when you're ready to go, you just pick up your boat and you go, right? So that geometry is a really, really special thing in the bike, and it's not any one feature, but it's just from your first initial introduction to the bike. You're like, how easy is that for me to get my foot through that giant space?
Yeah.
How easy is it for
me? Even I can do it.
You can do it. How's your high knee? So that's an important part. And then everything on the bike is designed around that premise. How do I make this the bike you always want to ride, right? So top quality components, of course. Hydraulic disc brakes. These are things other bikes have as well. We're using a very powerful motor. It's a 500 watt nominal, right? A lot of people will put their peak. I won't tell you what the peak is. I'll just tell you that it's nominal 500 watts, but it has about 130 newtons of force, right? So it's got a lot of torque. The bike does have a throttle. If you don't want to pedal, you can just use the throttle button and it'll take you up to 20 miles per hour. And there's enough power in it that if you just shift it down, you don't actually have to pedal to climb a 30% grade. So that's pretty unique. I geared it very, very carefully to make sure that you didn't necessarily have to be a pedaler to ride the bike. Now, if you want to help pedal, it will assist you up to speeds of 28 miles per hour, at which point you're on your own. Right. Yeah. So people are like, how fast will the bike go? I'm like, how fast can you pedal it? Right. There's no speed limit on the bike, but the motor will assist you up to 28, and the throttle will take you without even pedaling up to 20. Wow. And there's enough power in the motor to get you up at 30%.
So if you had to pick a couple of things that makes your bike unique, is it that transmission?
It's, we call it the eBliss drive, which is it's the combination, it's the synergy of which motor, which transmission, what gearing, the belt drive, which is, greaseless. I mean, who can do this, on your chain and come back with clean fingers? Right. I'm going to have some more of the bacon wrapped
chicken or whatever.
Yeah, chicken. So there's a number of things that are unique, that are built into the bike as part of the design. That crazy mind of mine I look at the bike, I'm like, hey, I've got to make it pretty big to get this, 700 watt hour battery in the down tube, so it'll go 100 miles, so nobody ever has to worry about getting out on a bike ride and then they have to ride it home manually, which you can do. So there's going to be tubes that are big. And so I looked at it from a design standpoint and said, well, the tubes have to be that big, then I don't need as many of them. And so I've got a kind of a Bajas design going on here where, I've got a big single-sided fork over here. We have a chainstay here and a seat stay here, no chainstay. It allows the kickstand to fold up nice and tight and lean in the bike. There's just a lot of features of the bike that are really, really nice.
Of all the designs you have, is this one of the most popular?
I think this is the most popular, yeah. This is a step through. It's got the geometry. It has the high quality. It's a 27.5 plus wheel. So it's a big diameter wheel. It just rolls over everything. Nice fat tire so that it doesn't get stuck on anything. So this is a really, really easy design to love. This is great transportation. Yeah.
I think this is the one that I rode around my warehouse.
Yeah?
Yeah, right? It might be in green.
No, you rode the Anytime, it's similar. It is a step through as well. It's a little tighter and has more conventional geometry.
All right. Yeah, we all had fun in the warehouse driving that thing around.
Yeah. That's a good bike too.
Well,
Yeah.
Tony, we appreciate you being on the show. I wish you all the success. Obviously, we're part of it, so you succeed, we succeed.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on, brother.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Wheels, Deals, and Meals, your main source for all things good and fun, business, food, and cars. If you like this episode, make sure to rate us and subscribe. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please leave a message at the link below. Till next time, happy eating!
Hey guys, I hope you've been enjoying Wheels, Deals, and Meals. You know, there's something that I don't say often enough, but I need to say it more often. If you guys like this show, if you like all of these incredible business people that we interviewed, their stories, how they made it, the places we go to, the foods that we eat, the locations we see, if you like all of this, I need you to like it, I need you to share it, I need you to comment. Most importantly, I need you to subscribe. Wheels, Deals, and Meals. Go subscribe now.